So the question of the day is, have motorcycles become too complicated and too overladen with tech? I'm riding a 2020 Harley Davidson Lowrider S, and a lot of people would say Harleys are very minimal in tech, but even still, there's some amount of tech. I'm sure there's a cohort of people that will say, anything beyond whatever date of Harley Davidson has too much tech. Some people have said even fuel-injected Harleys is too technologically advanced. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, I think there's still a question that's worth asking, like, how much is too much tech on a motorcycle? Like I said, this 2020 Harley Davidson Lowrider S, barely has any tech. It has an analog fuel gauge, analog tach, and that's kind of the way I like it. I don't even have a cruise control. That's the kind of tech that I think I would appreciate. I don't necessarily need all the gizmos and gadgets up in the front, like the display and all that. I have my phone for anything if I need it, but the reason why I got into a Harley Davidson is because it's low tech. It doesn't have a whole lot. It's just a motor, wheels, a frame, and I'm good to go. And I can kind of just cruise around and just enjoy the scenery, and I can take a look around, enjoy the view, enjoy the sights. And I guess you could argue that when you have so much tech, it kind of takes away some of the joys of riding. I don't exactly know where I fall on the spectrum of how much is too much tech, but I do know that there are some tech advancements on a motorcycle that I think will be kind of cool to have. But at the end of the day, what I really just want to do is rip on the motorcycle, and I don't need a whole lot of tech to do that. My first motorcycle was a Harley Davidson Iron 883. And that bike had no tech whatsoever. It came with halogen light bulbs, air-cooled motor, Evolution engine, which is one of the older Harley Davidson engines still in production at the time when I bought it. So it was about as low tech as you could get, and I would say I loved my Sportster, and I still do. I bought another Sportster down the road, but I would argue that you don't need a whole lot of tech to enjoy motorcycling. It'd be nice to have cruise control, but those are all nice things, but I don't really need it to enjoy the ride. On the flip side of the coin, I could argue that too much tech might not be a good thing because, the more electronics that you have, the more things that could go wrong. And the beauty of simple bikes is that they're easy to maintain and they're easy to fix when something goes wrong. Can't say the same thing about electronics. I love the fact that on most things Harley Davidson, I can fix it on my own. Whew, man, that's fun. The reason why I got into motorcycling is so that I can get outside and enjoy views like this. Like, this is so nice. But man, I love getting out and enjoying the scenery, enjoying the breeze. I don't know if all the tech stuff is really necessary for me to enjoy this kind of stuff. So I've had my 2020 Lowrider S, now and kind of an ST now, for going on 5 years. 2020 Lowrider S. And yeah, every now and then I do get the itch to get something different. New Road Glide, looks pretty cool. But every time I get on this damn thing, man, it just sucks me back in. I love this thing. I'm probably looking at another bike somewhere down the road. I'll admit it, I've thought about trading this bike in. I've entertained the idea of maybe going for a bigger bike. Maybe it's time for me to get into a touring model so I can do longer trips. I don't do long trips right now, but it'd be nice to have it just in case. So yeah, the itch to try something new, to try something different, it's been there in the back of my mind. But on a day like today, when I haven't ridden this bike in a couple of months now, right? Because I'm, trying to filter through my rotation of the Scout Bobber, the Monkey, make sure each bike gets ridden to some degree. So it's been a couple of months, and man, as soon as I sat back into the saddle, I love the Lowrider S. It's just a visceral feeling bike. I'm never gonna say that I'll never sell this bike or trade it in, but every time I go to ride it, you know, that thought leaves me. So until then, I'm probably going to keep this bike until I've changed my mind. And I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon. I thought about trading this bike in, but nah, I'm not going to. I mean, the other thing is that this bike is pretty much paid off, so... And I know that if I trade it in, I'm gonna take a bath on this bike. All of the modifications that I've done to it, all of the things that I've just added to this bike, like this Advent Black ST fairing, the Stage 2, all of this stuff, all of the sweat equity that went into this bike is just gone. And that's really hard to part with, because once you start making this bike your own, there's kind of that emotional attachment to it. If you have a Lowrider S or the ST, what are your thoughts on it so far? Are we still in that honeymoon phase? Are we still loving it, or have you already traded it in for something different? If so, what did you get? Are you thinking about trading it in? What are your thoughts? If there was a bike that I would trade the Lowrider S for, it's kind of weird, but I might I might go with another ST, like a brand new 2025 model maybe, just because that 117 motor will be kind of cool. But then I would have to do all of the work again. Or my sleeper would be a Road King. I test rode one earlier this year, and man, that thing is just, it's awesome. It's the king for a reason. It was so comfortable. It was light and nimble on its feet. Yeah, it's a little bit heavier, but I think it's a good compromise, because what you get in return is just a more stable bike on the highways. You know, I could probably get another ST fairing for the Road King, or just keep it really minimal, right? Man, that will be a badass bike. But for now, this bike stays here in my stable. If anything, I've been kind of itching for a Dyna. I've never owned a Dyna before. That's something that I've been really, really keen on lately. But the Dyna is on the Facebook Marketplace, or in the used market. They're actually holding their value. I've been looking at Dyna Street Bobs, and they are anywhere between like $8,000 to $12,000, believe it or not, for a Dyna. You could get a high mileage Dyna Street Bob for maybe $5,000 or so, but you know, I don't want that. I want something with relatively low miles. But anyways,